If you think the debate over Chinese vehicles is about cheaper cars showing up in American dealerships, you're missing the bigger story. It's one policymakers in Washington are no longer willing to ignore. A new legislative ban on Chinese cars and auto parts from entering the U.S. market isn't just about trade. It's about control of technology, supply chains, data, and ultimately the future of the American auto industry. And this time, the tone has shifted. Lawmakers, automakers, suppliers, and dealers are no longer speaking in cautious corporate language. They're drawing lines. Senator Bernie Moreno's proposal to block Chinese vehicles and components entirely signals a turning point. His message is blunt. Chinese autos should not and will not have a foothold in the United States. And it's not an incremental policy tweak, it's a full stop. The results will shape not just what you drive, but who controls the industry that builds it. And the impact is more than just that. The stakes are massive. Automobiles account for more than a fifth of the trade between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And this isn't a niche sector. It's the backbone of North American manufacturing. And now it's being tested by a global competitor that plays by a very different set of rules. While the United States tightens restrictions, the global response is fractured. Europe has imposed steep tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, arguing that they are being dumped below cost, which is true. And this has impacted their economy and jobs in a very negative way. Meanwhile, Canada has taken a very different path, agreeing to allow 49,000 Chinese EVs into its market. That divergence matters because supply chains don't respect borders. Washington is already signaling that any backdoor entry through Canada or otherwise will be shut down. The message is clear. If Chinese vehicles can't come in directly, they won't be allowed to sneak in indirectly. But this isn't happening in a vacuum. The Biden administration already laid the groundwork with executive actions restricting Chinese auto parts, particularly over concerns tied to software, parts, and hardware vulnerabilities. These concerns aren't hypothetical. U.S. officials have confirmed that Chinese state-sponsored hackers have infiltrated critical infrastructure systems in the past and even now. Now apply that reality to modern vehicles, which are essentially rolling computers. The risk isn't just about where the car is built. It's about who controls the software, the data, and the connectivity embedded inside it. And that's why Moreno's proposal aims to close those loopholes, not just in manufacturing, but in partnerships, software integration, and component sourcing. It's an attempt to address a problem that has been growing quietly for years. And here's where it gets interesting. The auto industry itself is now pushing back. In fact, major industry groups representing automakers, dealers, and suppliers are now urging Washington to go further. Their warning is direct. Whether Chinese vehicles are imported or built domestically, the risks and market distortions remain the same. In other words, simply allowing Chinese companies to build factories in the U.S. soil doesn't solve the problem. It may just relocate it. That put policymakers in a difficult position. On one hand, there's an appeal of investment, jobs, and manufacturing, building Chinese cars here. On the other hand, there's a reality that control of the technology and supply chain may still sit overseas. And at the same time, the global auto industry is undergoing a transformation that's moving faster than many legacy automakers anticipated. And no one has captured that urgency better than Toyota's leadership. When one of the most disciplined and successful manufacturers in history starts talking about survival, people should be paying attention. The warning wasn't subtle. The message was that the industry's old habits, its cost structures, its processes, even its assumptions are no longer sufficient. This isn't about minor adjustments. It's about a fundamental change. China's advantage isn't just about building cheaper cars. That's the headline. But it's not the story. The real advantage lies in scale and control. Chinese companies dominate in battery production, controlling roughly 80% of the global output. Batteries are the most expensive and critical component in electric vehicles, hybrids, and gas-powered cars because of all the technology, and control over that market translates directly to pricing power and speed. Larger batteries on hybrids and high-tech vehicles, well, they just keep getting larger and larger and demanding more power. And companies like BYD aren't just building vehicles. They're controlling the ecosystem with batteries, software, charging infrastructure, and more. That level of vertical integration allows them to move faster and cheaper than companies who rely on fragmented global supply chains. And it doesn't stop there. Technology firms are entering the automotive space with a different mindset. They're not burdened by decades of legacy systems or manufacturing inertia. They're focusing on speed, software, and scalability. Watch for companies like NVIDIA and Qualcomm as they have made huge strides. For traditional automakers, that creates a different kind of pressure. It's no longer just about building a better car. It's about building a faster, cheaper, and a smarter vehicle while navigating regulatory uncertainty that seems to shift with every election cycle. That regulatory instability is another issue the industry is quietly raising. Executives are increasingly frustrated with what they call whiplash, a constant rewriting of the rules that makes long-term planning nearly impossible. 2 years ago, the push was toward full electrification. Today, that momentum has slowed, and the market is shifting toward hybrids, and automakers are adjusting in real time. But the cost of those pivots is enormous. Hyundai's leadership put it plainly: competing with Chinese vehicles on price is a losing game. The only viable strategy is to compete on quality, brand strength, and dealer networks. That's a defensible position, but only if consumers are willing to pay for it. And that's the question hanging over the entire industry. At the end of the day, consumers care about affordability. If Chinese manufacturers can deliver competitive vehicles at significantly lower prices, the pressure on Western automakers will only intensify. And that's why this debate isn't going away. It's going to escalate. The push to ban Chinese cars and components and software is as much about buying time as it is about setting policy. It's time for Americans and allied manufacturers to catch up with battery technology and components. It's time to rebuild supply chains. It's time to figure out how to compete in a market that has fundamentally changed. But that time alone won't fix the problem. The U.S. still has enormous advantages in engineering talent, brand loyalty, and a dealer network that remains one of the strongest in the world. But those advantages aren't guaranteed. They have to be reinforced with competitive products, realistic pricing, and a clear strategy. Right now, that strategy is still taking shape. What is clear is that the industry is entering a new phase, one that is not just defined by innovation, but by geopolitical tensions. Cars are no longer just transportation. They are data hubs, technology platforms, and strategic assets. And that changes everything. And this isn't about keeping Chinese cars out. It's about deciding what kind of auto industry the United States wants to have and who gets to control it. If the last few years have shown anything, it's that once you lose control of supply chain, getting it back is a lot harder than anyone expects. And this time, the consequences go far beyond the showroom floor. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.